Hello everybody, welcome to the Bible study series. We're going to be doing 10 days straight of Bible studying as we start this new year. I hope you guys can see clearly, because let me see if I can wipe this lens and maybe it's going to make it more clear. Okay, I think that's the best I can do. Okay, so welcome to our Bible study, our 10-day Bible study. I don't know what to call it. Let me decide on the name. So obviously it's going to be about the story of Joseph, and let's call it your internal compass, because it's going to start off by Joseph's dream. So open your Bible and go to Genesis 37, and we're just going to read chapter 37 today. I'm going to make some notes as well on the side if I have to, and highlight anything that I need to highlight. I've got these highlighters from Typo. They're very light, they don't bleed through the pages, because we all know how thin the Bible pages are. Okay, let's start. Please forgive me if I pronounce anything wrong. We're all just trying to figure it out here. Jacob's dreams, that is Genesis 37. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. So obviously here it's showing that Joseph was a good boy. So Joseph reported to his father. Number 3, Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children, because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So he was the youngest one, born at a very old age, and again, as you can see here, he was the good boy. So he loved him more, which favoritism, not good, but it happens. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. Okay, so here there's a star, and at the bottom of it there it just explains that the robe had a lot of colors. It was very beautiful and fancy. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. So because of the favoritism, because Jacob loved Joseph more, the brothers hated Joseph because of that. 5. One night Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. Now we're going to find out what the dream is. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles were gathered around and bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, So you think you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and the way he talked about them. Number 9. Soon Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. Listen, I have another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. This time he told the dream to his father as well as his brothers, but his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? He said. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, "Your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready, and I will send you to them." "I'm ready to go," Joseph replied. "Go and see how your brothers and the flocks are getting along," Jacob said. "Then come back and bring me a report." So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. But you see as well, guys, like even Jacob, so the father, was like, then come back and tell me what they were doing. Like, update me, let me know what they did. Okay. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. 15. When he arrived there, and a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. "What are you looking for?" he asked. "I'm looking for my brothers," Joseph replied. "Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep?" "Yes," the man told him. "They have moved from here, and I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. Okay, now the story is going to get intense. So prepare yourself. Get a pen. I've already put a lot of notes there, so just use this one. The title of this section is Joseph Sold into Slavery. 18. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance, and he approached. They made plans to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. "Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns." I don't know what does that mean. Cisterns. I think it's like a hole. "We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." But when Reuben heard of their scheme, so Reuben is another brother, so I'm just gonna circle Reuben. When Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. "Let's not kill him," he said. "Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into this empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him." Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. So I want you guys to remember this. Reuben is the one that spoke and said, "Guys, no, let's not kill him. Just throw him in there and, he'll die." But actually, he was secretly planning to rescue him, and return him home. 23. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing, even like the beautiful robe he was wearing. Then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. I don't know what is that. Let's actually Google, what does cistern mean? I'm going to look on my laptop. Cistern meaning container. Okay. And how do you actually pronounce it? Cistern. Okay. So it's a container and it's called cistern. Then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan. Can you imagine? They just threw their brothers in this massive container and they're about to feast and eat. Like, how do you eat when you have your sibling who's in there, you're just hoping he'll die? That's just cycle. They looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming towards them. It was a group of Ishmaelites traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from, I think that's perfume, from Gilead down to Egypt. I did say, guys, please forgive me for my pronunciations. Down to Egypt. 26. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him." So Judah is another one that's like, you know what? We're going to have to cover up the crime, bury the body, blah, 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 blah. What do we gain from that? Let's just sell him. Sell him to the Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold them to them for 20 pieces of silver. I don't know how much is that. But they sold his brother for only 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Okay. 29. Sometime later, Reuben returned to Joseph out of the cistern. Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Okay, so sometimes later, so I don't know where was Reuben here. So Reuben, I guess, was not around when they sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites. So when he came back later, I guess he was trying to secretly rescue Joseph to his father. He realized that Joseph is no longer there. He then ripped his clothes off, and that's a sign of grief, a sign of to be miserable and just be upset and grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They sent the beautiful robe to their father with this message: "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Their father recognized immediately. "Yes," he said, "it's my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn into pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. So again, another Jacob, the father, tore his clothes now, another sign of grief and misery. And then he dressed himself in burlap. So burlap, let's search, what does burlap mean? If I'm even saying it right. Oh, it's a sack. Okay.
Burlap.
Yeah, burlap. So it's like that, those sacks, wearing like a sack of potato thing. Okay, then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in sacks. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave and mourn for my son," he would say, and then he would weep. So he would cry. And I think weep is like crying in silence. 36. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was the captain of the palace guard. Okay, so that is today's reading. And what I got from this reading, so I'm gonna take my journal over here and write my notes. So today is the 5th of Jan, and we read Genesis 37. So the main things that I really got from this is be careful who you tell your dreams, even your family. People can hate you so much that they want to kill you or kidnap you. So be careful who you tell your dreams. Family, is also not to be trusted. You only trust God. And, you know, when you tell your dreams, your big dreams that God has put in your mind, and we've been doing a lot of vision boarding, a lot of, you know, planning for the future, that we're starting this year and you want to plan for the future. This is a reminder to be careful who you tell your dreams, because a small-minded person will shut it down. If they don't shut it down, they will plot to get you killed. And, you know, jealousy, another thing, jealousy or envy is evil. So once you catch yourself being jealous, I pray, you know, rebuke that spirit, because you end up doing things like getting someone sold and, you know, wanting to kill them, even just because they had a dream. You know, even if the dream is probably not real, will never happen, but you really hate them so much. So be careful of things like that. Reuben, who was one of the brothers that really felt bad, had no power because there was more brothers around him that hated him over him. So, you know, be careful who you surround yourself with as well. And then also the lying. They lied to their father and said they found their robe in blood, and it's just, you know. And what's crazy is they were trying to make Jacob love them. They were trying to make their father love them and forget about Joseph, who is the favorite. But actually their father mourned to stop wearing nice clothes and only wore sacks as a sign of mourning. And he mourned for his grave and mourned on his grave for his son for a very long time. The family tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, because so whatever they did trying to gain the father's love didn't work. So also, like, this is a reminder, if you try and do something that is, you know, intense to get someone to love you to the point where you want to get rid of someone, it will not work, because everyone is different, you know. So that's another reminder. So they really wanted their father's love, and they thought after Joseph disappeared, our father will love us now, but it actually got worse. Our father really got sad and miserable, and we will see how long that will last. So I really hope you enjoyed today's reading, and just a little reminder to be careful who you tell your dreams. But also what's nice is we will see at the end of the story how everything plays out for Joseph. And tomorrow we're going to be reading 38, the story about Judah and Tamar. I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a wonderful day, and comment down below what you took from this verse, because how I see it and how you see it could be a little bit different, and I would love to learn from you guys as well. So please comment down below what you took from this, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.